Hey, what's going on, Anchorage? It's Darrick here,
DJ.
and we are the Lower 48ers podcast, talking about all things Alaska from the Lower 48 perspective.
Today we're going to be talking about what brought us up to Alaska and some of our craziest experiences. So we're excited.
Yeah, it's excited to just share some of our, like you said, experiences moving from the Lower 48 coming to Alaska, even learning what the Lower 48 is. I never heard that term until I came here, and we're just embracing it. You know, to me, it felt like a derogatory term, but I'm just like, just leaning to that a little bit. You know, I don't know about you, but that's how I took it.
Yeah, no, when you came with the idea of naming it the Lower 48ers, I was like, man, it's like a derogatory term. Like I don't want that to be attached to me for the rest of my life. But then I was like, you know what? Let's embrace it and change it around because it is kind of a derogatory term, but in its own way. But I think just how we embrace it and use it, it will be cool to bring light to a different perspective. I graduated college like 7 years ago, and I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. So I moved to Alaska, of all places, and I've been here since. I worked at a homeless shelter. I worked for low-income housing. Now I work for a native corporation. I needed something that challenged me, and Alaska definitely challenges me every day. So it's been a hell of a ride.
Yeah, facts. Alaska definitely is challenging, especially coming from the Lower 48. But I came up under similar circumstances as you. Yourself. I didn't graduate college. I was working in Vegas, working at a casino, and my manager at the time took over the director of, I guess, safety or security at the Sullivan Arena, and basically was like, "Hey, man, I need a couple good guys, and you're one of the guys I want to bring up." So I originally came up here with 4 of the guys, and within like the first month, they all left, and I was just still here working at the Sullivan. It was like, shoot, man, I had no idea like all this was going on in Alaska. All I thought about was like penguin igloos and polar bears. And we ain't got no penguins.
Yeah, a little too far north for some penguins, but it's all good.
And but I'm like, man, we don't learn anything about Alaska.
No,
And I
that's
came here and
real.
learned so much. Yeah, you don't know anything.
I tell people that every day. I'm like, when I was in like elementary school, high school, we didn't learn anything about Alaska other than it was a state and that it was just like really big. We didn't learn anything about the culture, the people, and it was definitely a culture shock when I first moved here. I can attest to that. And to be honest with you, I was working with a group of women in AmeriCorps, and I thought they were Asian. But they were Alaskan Native, and I was like,
that was
okay.
my first thought too. I ain't gonna lie. I thought that too. I was like, couldn't tell the difference at first. And now I can, obviously, but
yeah,
at first it was throwing me off, man. But yeah, same here, bro.
Yeah, especially when they don't talk. You're just sitting there like, okay, are you Korean? What are you? But Anchorage is a big melting pot. There is a lot of there's a lot of different nationality here. The high schools are actually some of the most diverse in the country, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you do wind up dating a Alaskan Native Asian person, it's more than likely in Anchorage that you find somebody that's mixed with like some Filipino or
right.
Alaskan Native. So it's happened to me.
Nah, man, and it's funny because like one of my wife's best friends, I think she's half Filipino, half Alaskan Native, and she just looked native with dark skin, to me.
Hmm.
So I was like, it just kind of balanced itself out. But let's talk about, speaking of like moving to Anchorage and this diversity, let's talk about some of like our favorite things about living here, because we talk about culture and how it's so different from back home. And like you say, it's like it's such a culture shock moving from the lower 48 where everything's so fast paced, big cities, to a place where, Anchorage is a city, but to our standards, it's not really a
It's
big
not.
city.
It's not
It
a
has more
city.
of a small town vibe.
Yeah. No, even my hometown of I like to say I'm from Dayton, but I'm actually from Clayton. And there's a big difference, believe it or not. Clayton has about 15,000 people in it, but it's rural Ohio. So, I'm a farm boy at heart, but I'm not by trade. And I would equate Anchorage to like that whole area, just growing up, people know each other, everybody, y'all can't, you can't date without somebody knowing each other. You can't go to the grocery store without knowing each other around here. Like it's a small
Right.
town, but it's a big city feel. And, I think that was part of the culture shock, was just being so close to big cities in Ohio, being able to come here, and the closest big city is Fairbanks, which is 6 hours away. And
Yeah, yeah,
that's, you could drive for 4 hours and not even be anywhere close to a city. And to me, that's just that. At first, it was really, really crazy to experience, but then I adjusted to it, and then I was like, "Oh, this is nice. I like this." Like, because I love driving in the back roads back home, through the cornfields, and there's a lot of it. So, it's different up here. There are no back roads, so it sucks. But we make do with what we got. And I'm sure Florida was even worse. I mean, I practically grew up in the St. Petersburg area, so I can attest
he
to.
was out there by the water, man.
Yeah, it's just, the beach is it's different, a lot
Yeah,
different from the cornfields in Alaska. I can tell you that much.
yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, growing up in Florida, it's always a city or a town. So, where you taking I-75 north and south, you always running somewhere. You can always pull over, go to the store, go to a Walmart.
Yeah,
Versus like coming here, you going down, Old Seward, it ain't nothing for like a few hours. And even then, it might be like one Safeway. But the drives here are so beautiful, man, especially like going down the Seward Highway. That's like my favorite drive. And like my wife introduced me to that because she's like, hey, let's just go take a drive. And I'm like seeing the mountains and the ocean and like
yeah,
waterfalls along the way. And for me, that was the first thing I kind of fell in love with here was just the sceneries.
yeah.
Alaska, it just has a natural beauty, especially in the summertime. Like, man,
Uh,
during the winter, I want to go home so many times, but my wife was like, nah, wait till the summer. And the summer came and I was like, oh yeah, this is my place right here.
So I
So,
moved up here in August. My former
so you
girlfriend at
caught
the
the,
time. Well, no, I moved up here on August 25th. That was my first day in Alaska, and it was during a really bad wildfire season. Like everywhere had wildfires, and we were driving through, and I saw Matanuska Glacier for the first time, and I looked at it, and I was like, is that a glacier over there on the ground? And I never knew glaciers were still like prominent like that, and it was really shocking to me that I could see a glacier through the smoke. But the moral of this story is, for me moving here, it was all smoky during the time that I came, so I didn't really have the full Alaska summer experience that I wanted to when I first moved here. So I was really, really dead end on like if I wanted to stay or go. And I was only supposed to be up here for a year, but that's like what most people end up saying when they're stuck here for the pretty much the rest of their lives. They're like,
it's temporary.
not stuck. Yeah, they're like, I come here for a year, but I liked it so much I decided to stay. And that's what happened to me. COVID hit and we were all quarantined in, and I was just like, well, do I stay or do I try to find something and, continue my Alaska experience? And I decided to stay, and I love it. I've made a lot of mistakes, but
Don't we all make a lot of mistakes? So
oh man,
it's a part of life.
some of them are some of them are a bit dumber than you would think. We'll touch all that in a couple minutes, but it's all a living and learning experience that I don't take for granted, and I love it here, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
I feel that, man. And I moved here in the one of the worst winters. So I moved here the day before my birthday, January 12th, 2023. And I remember getting off the plane and it was like those big high mountains of snow. You remember that winter? And I was like, yo, this is Alaska. I don't know if I can do this. And I thought Alaska just had snow year round. So I'm like, man, it's gonna suck being in the cold. It's gonna always be snow, and boy, was I wrong. Cause again, like we said, we don't learn anything about Alaska other than it's a state, and it's just ice and igloos and Eskimos.
Yeah,
And we can get into that too. But in my first day, my birthday, I go to the Sullivan and I go in there and it felt like a third world country. I'm like, what the fuck? It like changed everything for me, like starting to learn about Alaskan Native culture and, how these people ended up here, learning about villages, learning all these different things. Definitely did something to my spirit because it awoken something I didn't know had in me, which was I was like, man, I was just like, I just want to help. And so from working as safety, keeping them safe to being like, you know what, I want to transition that finding them housing. And I started working at complex care for Catholic Social Services. And, I was able to, under Jesse, man, who was one of the best managers. I'm talking about this guy like so even killed, just like this guy like super smart, but under like his guidance was able to help people get housing. And then meeting you, working at who you used to work for, who I work for now, which is low income housing and keeping we don't want to say who we work, but we work to keep people housed and working with natives and all kinds of people. But yeah, man, but moving here in that wintertime, it really made the summer mean so much more because I saw it go from like, you know, inches and inches of snow to being like this beautiful green and luscious place with, going to Sitka. And I fell in love with Sitka. I was like, wow, man, this is a beautiful place, going into the Tongass rainforest and learning about peak at height of I went to Fairbanks last summer and I was like, oh man, that whole drive through the interior
it's a cool
was,
drive. Yeah,
yeah, it's a cool drive, man. Even the state fair here, like the state fair is like so different. Back
it's
home,
different. Yeah,
it's all about the rides. You go for the food, but here
yeah.
it's about the food, the merch. There's like so much stuff that you can't get because they're in all these places that you're not gonna be able to get to for 6, 7 months out of the year. So you just try to get as much as you can at one time. And I was like, man, for the first time in my life, seasons matters. I'm from Florida. It's just hot or
Just humid all year
kind of
round. You know
cold.
that?
Yeah, it's humid. Like here, it's like, the seasons matter. And like right now, I'm kind of happy we had a light winter and making the winter kind of go by fast. But I'm looking forward to the summer because I'm optimistic. It's gonna be real sunny, hot.
Oh yeah, we're
I
gonna be
might
doing
even
some
go into
getting that.
Jewel Lake.
Yeah, we're gonna be
Oh, we
doing some
definitely
getting
gonna
that.
go
Yep.
getting it. Oh yeah, I can't
We're gonna
wait.
make a podcast on that. Yeah.
Man, we're gonna record while we out there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You just talk to random
Yes,
people,
sir.
catch some salmon.
Yeah,
No,
it's gonna be a good weekend.
but Alaskan culture, man, it is great. It is unlike any other place. You
See,
know.
I think there's two different cultures here. Well,
Mhm.
I mean, there's like obviously multiple cultures here, but there's like
Yeah.
the city culture and then the village
Mhm.
culture. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
until you experience the actual Alaskan Native culture, you don't know of, excuse my language, you don't know a fucking thing about Alaska until you actually learn about Alaska. And
'Cause that's
I
what
think
makes Alaska, Alaska.
exactly, I hate seeing all these people. They're like, well, the natives can't do this because it violates the law. Like, it's their land, dude. They can do whatever the
Right.
fuck they want.
Right. And they know it better than we do.
Exactly. And I'm very honored to be able to take part in, like, as an honorary member of multiple Alaskan Native cultures.
Yeah.
I appreciate that they were so accepting of of me as a person. And, you
Yeah.
know, it's just, it's opened my eyes to a different aspect of life in a sense of something that you don't get in Southwest Ohio. I tell
Mhm.
my friends about experiences that I've experienced, and they're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I lived it." Like,
So you been to the villages before? Huh?
I've been to a few in my current position. I'll be traveling out to the Aleutians quite often, so it'll be pretty cool. I'm excited for it. I love to immerse myself into different cultures and to experience the differences. I think the
Yeah.
furthest north I've traveled was Barrow.
Yeah.
Furthest east was Galcana, and then furthest south was Juneau. But I don't know what village is in Juneau, but they have one down there. But uh,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I want to go out to like Bethel and that region, but I haven't had the experience or the opportunity to go out yet. And maybe in 5 years I'll be in a position, a different organization where I can travel out there. You know, who knows? But
Hey man, you never know. You never
you
know.
never know, and I think that's the beauty of it. People are like, "Oh, DJ, you've moved jobs a lot in the last 2 years." I'm like, "Well, because you got to find something that you're passionate about. You got to find what you like and something that fits." And so I don't take anything for granted. I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I do.
Yeah, that's the thing about Alaska. There's always somewhere that's hiring, that's paying more money, and it just might fit you better than where you at, you know. And I mean, it's the same for me because I mean, technically, I've had 3 jobs in 2 years, but one, the shelter was closing, so I had to get another job.
Yeah, me
and
too.
then, and then from CSS, I was just applying. You know, I love what I was doing over there. It wasn't like I lost my job. I was like, I hate what I'm doing. You know, I just threw something out there, did the interview, and then you know the benefits and the pay. Because I was like, if it ain't this, I ain't taking it. And then the benefits were great. You know where I'm at, and then I just end up, you know, loving what I do, which is like any job, you know, it's ups and downs,
Yeah, yeah. No,
but I mean,
I've had 3 jobs in the last 2 years. Believe it or not, I actually sold cars for a minute. I
nah,
took it. I took a gap year and sold some cars. So
what you were selling Hondas. Hey man, look, take this Honda Pilot, man. It's a great family car.
I was a registered Mercedes-Benz dealer, but I sold mostly used cars. Yeah, 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 yeah. We don't talk about that much, but if they listen to the podcast, they can be like, "Oh yeah, he was there for a quick minute."
You know, I always had this joke. I tell my wife, I'm like, man, hey, before I say this, I just want to say, shout out to all my Samoan, you know, my Usis, you know, my poly people. I said, if I ever got into selling cars, I would just sell Suburbans or Denali's, and I will only sell Denali's because every time I'm out on the road, I see one, you know, I see like a poly family with about 10 kids, and I was like, man, I will make a killing. I would just open up a Suburban dealership, and
Yeah.
that's it. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to all my ooses, man. You know, they showed me a lot of love when I came here too. That was like the first people that I worked with. And man, there was some good people, man, always cooking for you, especially when I went to complex care, man. Those guys cooked like
Hmm.
every Friday. Man, we ate good and we fellowshiped, and it was like kind of the first people to embrace us. The Islanders. It's crazy because the Islanders and Native culture are so similar where they're very giving people. You know what I mean? Like they love to like share and embrace you, you know what I'm saying, and give you a nickname or whatever and
And teach you if you don't know.
teach you. Right. And that's what we're talking about, like Alaskan culture, where it wouldn't be anything without natives, because native culture, the villages, you got to have this sense of community because they're so small. You got to depend on everybody. Like they take care of their elders. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, even what you did at work when you was able to get all that fish for the elders, that's a very village thing to do, you know. And so in that
Doing it right
salmon, we
now too.
still got it to this day. Right, yeah, you know,
Doing it for my elders at my new job. So
right. And I love working with, you know, the natives, man, because like, man, they're so funny, but just like, especially the elderly, they always want to teach you something. It just always seems like every conversation they try to, even if it's something you already know, I just love the fact that they just want to teach you.
Yep.
They're
I
like,
have
don't you
a,
know you can use your iPhone to Google search this? You like, nah, for
I
real?
didn't
Like,
know
yeah,
that.
man.
Yeah, it's news to me. I have this friend that I met when I worked at Covenant House, and you actually know him. His name's Fred. I call him Uppa Fred because he's
Yeah, yeah.
teaches me a lot. He's taught me so much about Alaskan culture, and for those that don't know, Uppa means grandfather in Yupik. And so he's really embraced me, and I haven't talked to him in a while. So if you listen to this, Uppa, you better reach out and say hi, because we got some
That's
getting
right.
we got to do soon. So
That's right.
he did want to go ice fishing this year, but he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. So remind me to check in on him. But he, he's just always, like you said, humor. It's a way of like a life in for Native communities. That's how they thrive, and that's how they get through the hardships of life in a way. And that's what really I enjoy and I embrace about Native culture is their humor, because I love humor. So that's
Yeah.
one of
Man, we
my
crack jokes all day.
man. If you can't handle it, you gotta get out.
You gotta get out, right? Hey, and I just want to say this before we go. Shout out to my boy Roy Paranovich. It's his great grandmother's day, Elizabeth Paranovich Day. I
Yeah,
know I
yeah.
sent you Happy President's Day. You was like, bro, how you gonna do your boy Roy?
We gotta represent the
You
Native
gotta
culture.
represent, yeah. Especially he called me Tank Paranovich all the time, So yeah, shout out to the Paranoviches, man.
He's probably living life large today, working.
Nah, it's funny because he texted me earlier, like, what you doing? I'm like, yo, I'll record. My bad, bro. I'm like, nah, you good, bro. We can get up later. But yeah, man, I know he gonna check this out. So shout out to my boy Roy. Shout out to his sponsor JP. Shout out to the whole Paranovich family, man. Good people. But
We
yeah,
only
man.
we only got about 8 minutes left. I think the next segment we are going to talk about is just some of our crazy experiences in Alaska. And for me, I don't think y'all are ready for this. So
Let's hear it.
we'll start with you. We'll start with you, Tank, and I'll take the lead after you. So go ahead.
Well, I'll say my crazy experience is probably working at the Sullivan in itself. Like the things you see, like it's some things I don't even want to repeat, man. I mean, I done seen it all, anything you can imagine, and just being in there, like I said, it was just such a huge shock because it felt like a third world country.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing all those people, uh, living on cots, from people that go to work to people that's just tweaking all night long and, Narcanning people. I mean, I remember one time my safety staff on grade one night had to Narcan a guy like 3 times where he was turning purple. And it took 3 Narcans to bring him back. And that was something crazy because he was young. He was a young dude. We were around the same age and he grew up middle class. And I just used to look at him like, man, this could be anybody. And that's what it did something to me. But for me, just the Sullivan, if you ever worked there, you know what it's like working in the homeless shelters. Like that was my crazy Alaskan experience without going to details of other morbid stuff that I saw, but I'll just keep it there.
I don't know if you can hear Denali. He's trying to get into my room right now. He's banging on the door. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Man, hold on. I definitely agree with that. Like, oh no.
He done broke in there.
But for real, I agree 100%. Hey, leave those alone. Addiction doesn't discriminate. And so, a middle class person could be addicted. I've seen it. Um, I I would agree. Sullivan is a crazy place. I used to go there when I would do outreach for Covenant House. We would go look for our youth and just seeing like all the strung out, all the tweaking people. It was really sad to see, and it's really sad that addiction has such a grip on people in Alaska. And that's why we're kind of making this podcast to not centered around addiction, but just
I guess you could say shed light on what happens here to
shed
back
light.
home.
Yeah. Because people
And
are
to show people
ill-informed.
that we love their community too, because they have a thing about us outsiders, but
Yeah.
like we're a part of the community too, and we care about it, but also shedding light on it in a
Yeah.
positive way.
For sure. So that would lead us into my my crazy experience.
Yeah, what are the people? Because you feel like you're getting a lot of crazy shit. So
Man, I do. So my third year here, I bought a snowmobile, but they call them snow machines up here. And I'm like, because I had gone snow machining, right, on like tours and stuff. So I was like, okay, yeah, I could do this. I went out to, I went up north of Talkeetna. So I was like 2 hours away from Talkeetna, about 4 hours away from Anchorage, right? And I'm like, okay, this can't be too bad. And so I'm out there, riding around, and then I crashed my snow machine, and I was stuck in the middle of nowhere, and it was getting dark. And so I was like,
oh shit.
I was by myself. I was ill prepared, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe this isn't the best day of my life because I could very much well die here. And I didn't have any phone service, so that was one of the bad things. So so I had to start post holing, which is like you're walking on the trail and you fall into the snow, and it was about up to my chest. It was a really bad snow sea up there.
Shit.
And so I had to do that for about 2 hours on the trail until I finally found phone service, and then I called. I knew I couldn't make it back all the way to the roadhouse that was not too far away, relatively not too far away. But I just called search and rescue, and they were like, the closest trooper was in Palmer, so she was about 4 hours away.
Wow.
Yeah, she's like, I could be there in about 4 hours. I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just sitting here. So she's like, well, don't take any of your clothes off and try to stay warm. She's like, dig a hole and use your body heat to stay warm. And she said, I'm going to start making my way up there. And then she's like, don't use your phone, though, because it will die. And my phone was already on like 30% anyway. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then I get a text message from her, and she said, oh, the search and rescue team from Talkeetna is dispatching. They'll be there in about 2 hours. And at this point, it's already like 5, 6 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, like regardless, it's 12 degrees outside. It was pretty warm that day, relatively warm. So I'm like, okay, let me just bunker up and wait. I also had broken ribs. So I'm just sitting
Oh,
there.
from the accident.
Yeah, from the accident. So I was just sitting there in pain, trying to hopefully get these search and rescue team to find me. And yeah, they finally found me after about 4 hours, and it was about 10 o'clock when they found me. They pull up. They said, hey, you having a good day? I'm like, you know it. You're
Such a
having
DJ,
fun.
fucking ass. Such a DJ, bro. I mean, but what was going? Did you have thoughts of like, I might die right now, or you just
I
optimistic
texted
the
my
whole time?
mom. I texted my mom, and I said, hey, mom, don't be mad at me, but I think I might die today.
What did he say?
She was freaking the fuck out. I was texting, calling my roommates at the time. They were calling the state troopers, and they were like trying to be really proactive to find me. But I knew what was going on. Like once I was able to contact the search and rescue team, I knew like it was going to be okay after a while. But I was definitely scared. It was definitely the scariest experience. I've even come face to face with a grizzly bear, and that was probably scarier than coming face to face with a grizzly bear. And
That's the one thing. I'm happy I ain't ran into a bear yet, and I hope I don't.
it was cool because the bear was fishing, so it was like it wasn't worried about me. Like there's a plethora of salmon in front of it, so it wasn't like it was like DJ's cool, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought, bro.
Bro,
Yeah,
oh man, I guarantee you'll never go snowboarding again or whatever you was doing.
snow machine by myself?
Snow
Nah,
machine by yourself,
nah.
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna go with a
ever.
group of people. That's why I wanna buy another one soon. Not like soon. So mom, dad, when you hear this, don't be too upset. But like maybe like in a year or two when I come into some more money, buy one or two, and you know, some that you can go touring with, like a two up, so you can have two people on there. But yeah, it was definitely an experience, one that I don't take for granted. It's a
Bro,
blessing to be
that's
here.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts, man. That's fucking scary. I would have panicked. I ain't gonna lie. I don't even like being outside in the cold for like more than 10 minutes. So I'm saying you talking about hours. I'll
Yeah.
just be like, man, don't even come. 4 hours is something to recover my body. You know what I'm saying? Like I just gave up, man. That's
I
crazy.
think I think I was more worried about running into a moose than I was a wolf. Like I was like, if a wolf gets me, a wolf gets me. But like a moose, that thing's gonna like beat the shit out of me for no reason.
Hey, and that's what people don't understand. I got a lot of people every time I post a moose, they be like, "Oh, it's so cute." I'm like, "No, those things are evil."
We'll get into that. We got a couple
Yeah,
minutes. I've had to break up a fight with Denali and a moose before. Like this moose was like trying to stomp him, and I'm like, I gotta go risk my life because my dog's being a dumbass. So
bro, those moose don't play, and that's the other part about Alaska. We can talk about this on the next episode. Is like, yeah, it's a lot of good things, but it's also the dark side of Alaska, which is the wildlife. Beautiful to look at, but man, black bear, brown bear, grizzly bear, polar bear,
mm-hmm.
moose. You got wolverines. You got
Wolves,
like you say, the
coyotes,
wolves,
fox.
coyotes. It's everything out here except gators. But nah, it's a crocodile out there somewhere that they ain't recovered.
Yeah, you talked about
So
that the
I
other
don't know
day.
I don't know where he at. They better hope he don't start responding because man, the last thing Alaska needs is some crocodiles.
The Alaskan crocodile. That sounds like a Sharknado movie.
Bro, the mud flats. It's so let's talk about that next episode. We talk
Yep,
about the good
I got a
and we
story
can get
about
into
that
more of the
too.
good, but we can talk about the bad on the next episode. And I think that this is a great ending point right here, man. But
Yeah.
man, it was good to share it and have this conversation. I think you mentioned this story before, but never in detail, so it's good to learn. And I'm happy to do it live. Shit, man. Fuck.
But yeah, me too, man. Yeah, I think
That's
next
scary.
episode we're gonna talk about what we'll get into some or bad experiences of Alaska, like including like relationships and stuff like that. What do you want to
Yeah.
do? Okay.
Oh, we could talk about relationships, the dating scene here.
Yeah, man.
We can
That's
we can really get into it,
y'all.
man. Hey,
You viewers don't even know. You guys are in for it. In for it.
especially this guy. I've been married, so I'm like,
Nah, don't
this
worry.
is
Those exes who are listening, don't be too upset. I'm not gonna name drop anybody. It's all love.
what's the Alaska saying? You don't lose your girl, you just lose your turn.
Yes, sir. That is a great ending point. Hey, it's been real. This is the Lower 48ers. Catch us next week. Also follow us on TikTok, Instagram at the Lower 48ers podcast.